What if I told you that the greatest threat to your longevity isn't aging itself, but chronic inflammation silently destroying you from the inside? What if it is destroying your organs, accelerating aging, and setting you up for disease, that daily headache, those stiff joints, that afternoon energy crash? What if the first thing you consume each morning could determine how your body handles inflammation all day? Scientists discovered a metabolic switch that gets flipped in the first hour after waking. Dr. Gundry's Game Changer. Before anything else, consume 1 tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil. This isn't just any healthy fat. It's loaded with oleocanthal that works like ibuprofen without harmful side effects, suppressing the same inflammatory enzymes, COX-1 and COX-2, that prescription anti-inflammatories target. Consuming olive oil on an empty stomach maximizes absorption of these compounds by up to 300%, essentially coating your digestive system before introducing potentially inflammatory foods. Patients saw CRP levels, a key inflammation marker, drop by 34% within 3 weeks. One patient with rheumatoid arthritis could hold her grandchild for the first time in years after just 1 month. Use cold-pressed extra virgin olive oil in a dark glass bottle and make it the very first thing you consume daily. Could healthy breakfast fruits actually trigger an inflammatory cascade that lasts all day? Dr. Gundry found a pattern among inflammation-prone patients. They were all consuming the same seemingly innocent foods each morning. The inflammatory culprits: bananas, grapes, and most tropical fruits. They're loaded with fructose without enough fiber to offset sugar spikes and contain lectins that can damage gut lining, the gateway to systemic inflammation. Instead, take berries, specifically blueberries, blackberries, and raspberries. These pack polyphenols that suppress inflammatory messengers and feed gut bacteria compounds needed to produce butyrate, a fatty acid that heals gut lining and reduces whole-body inflammation. Patients who swapped morning bananas for berries saw measurable improvements in inflammatory markers within 14 days. One inflammatory bowel disease patient reported her morning symptoms virtually disappeared. Try berries with full-fat unsweetened yogurt or coconut cream for additional anti-inflammatory benefits. What if your body had a built-in mechanism to purge inflammatory cells that most people never activate? Researchers at the Salk Institute discovered this mechanism, finding most people shut it off unknowingly every day. Inflammatory cells have a vulnerability, a specific time window when they're programmed to self-destruct. The solution: practice time-restricted eating with a 16-hour fasting window. Contain all eating within an 8-hour period daily, such as 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. During those 16 fasting hours, your body initiates cellular cleanup called autophagy, essentially taking out the inflammatory trash. Studies show this process specifically targets damaged inflammatory cells. You don't need to do this daily. Patients practicing this 16-hour fast just 3 days weekly saw significant reductions in inflammatory markers. One 67-year-old with treatment-resistant psoriasis saw lesions reduced by over 70% after 1 month of this fasting schedule. No medications, just changing when he ate. Start with a 12-hour overnight fast, then extend by 30 minutes every few days until reaching 16 hours. What if there is a common kitchen spice so powerful at fighting inflammation that pharmaceutical companies are synthesizing its compounds into prescription drugs? This spice matches or exceeds several anti-inflammatory medications without side effects. This inflammation-fighting powerhouse has been in your kitchen all along, yet most use it incorrectly. The spice is turmeric, but the hack isn't just about occasional sprinkling. Turmeric's key compound, curcumin, has poor bioavailability alone. To harness turmeric's full anti-inflammatory potential, always pair turmeric with black pepper. Piperine increases curcumin absorption by 2,000%. Consume with healthy fat for further enhanced absorption. Dr. Gundry recommends half a teaspoon turmeric powder mixed with a pinch of black pepper and a teaspoon of olive oil twice daily. Patients following this protocol showed reductions in inflammatory markers comparable to prescription medications. One inflammatory arthritis patient reported climbing stairs pain-free for the first time in 7 years after just 3 weeks. Whole spice often works better than supplements due to complementary compounds that isolated curcumin lacks. What if the most potent anti-inflammatory exercise isn't an hour-long gym session, but something much shorter working through a different biological pathway? University of California scientists discovered specific movements trigger an anti-inflammatory response measurable in bloodstream within minutes, regardless of fitness level or age. Fascinating finding: longer duration doesn't increase benefits and can actually reverse anti-inflammatory effects. The movement hack: 7 minutes of high-intensity interval training, Shy daily. Just 7 minutes, not an hour. The protocol: 30 seconds maximum effort followed by 90 seconds recovery, repeated 4 times. Use any exercise that elevates heart rate, body weight movements, running in place or stationary bike. Extended cardio can increase oxidative stress and inflammation, especially with age. Short intensity bursts followed by recovery trigger anti-inflammatory myokines while minimizing oxidative damage. Patients implementing this daily 7-minute protocol showed 22% average reduction in inflammatory markers within 3 weeks, comparable to some medications. One 72-year-old with inflammatory arthritis, unable to walk without pain, found she could walk 3 blocks comfortably after 2 weeks, for the first time in 5 years. Remember, intensity is relative to your fitness level. What matters is that it feels challenging to you. Could healthy vegetables actually be your hidden inflammation source? Dr. Gundry discovered a specific vegetable family consistently triggering inflammatory responses severe enough to mimic arthritis, IBS, and neurological symptoms. These seemingly innocent plants contain compounds evolved specifically to cause inflammatory pain, a botanical defense mechanism wreaking havoc in your body. The culprits: nightshade vegetables, tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, peppers, bell and hot, and goji berries. They contain alkaloids, solanine, capsaicin, nicotine, that trigger inflammatory responses in susceptible individuals. The protocol: eliminate all nightshades completely for 30 days, then carefully reintroduce one at a time to identify your specific triggers. Approximately 70% of autoimmune patients showed significant symptom improvement during nightshade elimination. One psoriatic arthritis patient requiring weekly injections reduced her medication by half after eliminating nightshades. Not everyone is sensitive to nightshades, but they're common hidden triggers for persistent, unexplained inflammation. Replace nightshades with leafy greens, cruciferous vegetables and squashes, which contain anti-inflammatory compounds instead. What if whole-body inflammation starts somewhere fundamental? Harvard Medical School research identified a surprising inflammation ground zero: tiny breaches in the intestinal lining. This condition, intestinal permeability or leaky gut, allows inflammatory particles into the bloodstream, triggering immune responses throughout your body. Dr. Gundry found one ancient food has a unique ability to repair these breaches within days: the healing superfood bone broth, but not typical store-bought varieties. Commercial broths rarely contain the critical compounds that make genuine bone broth powerful: glycine, proline, glutamine and collagen. The protocol: consume 8 ounces of properly prepared bone broth daily, simmered at least 12 hours, 24 is even better, to extract gut-healing compounds from joints and connective tissues. These amino acids act like spackle, repairing tiny holes in the intestinal lining that let inflammatory compounds escape. Patients consuming proper bone broth daily showed a 30% average reduction in zonulin, a key leaky gut marker, in just 2 weeks. One severe rheumatoid arthritis patient implementing daily bone broth, alongside conventional treatment, saw pain scores drop from 8 out of 10 to 3 out of 10 within 3 weeks. For vegetarians, seaweed broths containing alginate offer similar gut-sealing properties through different mechanisms. Could what you do before bed determine whether your body repairs cells or fuels inflammation overnight? UC Berkeley research found certain pre-sleep behaviors create perfect conditions for inflammatory processes to accelerate during sleep. Researchers discovered a critical 60-minute pre-sleep window that programs your body's inflammatory response all night. Most people unknowingly fill this window with activities that flip cellular repair switches to inflammation mode. The 60-minute pre-sleep protocol. First, stop all blue light exposure 60 minutes before bed. Blue light suppresses melatonin, not just a sleep hormone, but a powerful anti-inflammatory compound. Wear blue blocking glasses if using screens. Second, lower the bedroom temperature to 65 to 68 degrees Fahrenheit or 18 to 20 degrees Celsius. This activates brown fat producing adiponectin, a hormone suppressing inflammatory cytokines during sleep. Third, consume 1 to 2 tablespoons of raw honey with a pinch of sea salt 30 minutes before bed. This fuels your liver with glycogen, preventing middle-of-the-night stress hormone spikes that trigger inflammation. Patients following these steps showed a 27% average reduction in morning inflammatory markers after just 1 week. One 54-year-old woman with inflammatory joint pain tried numerous medications without success. After implementing this protocol for 2 weeks, her morning stiffness decreased so significantly, she resumed yoga practice for the first time in 3 years. This works by aligning with the natural circadian rhythm, enhancing anti-inflammatory repair processes during sleep. What if one mineral deficiency underlies many chronic inflammation cases, a mineral so depleted in our food that 80% of Americans lack sufficient amounts? Harvard researchers discovered this mineral acts as a master regulator of inflammatory responses, yet modern agriculture has stripped it from soils and food. More surprising, this deficiency creates inflammation resistant to other anti-inflammatory interventions. You can do everything else right and still suffer without this critical element, the inflammation-fighting mineral magnesium. Dr. Gundry considers it the most overlooked factor in chronic inflammation. Magnesium directly inhibits NF-κB, the primary molecular switch activating inflammatory genes. Recommended 400 to 500 milligrams of magnesium daily, but form matters tremendously. Use magnesium threonate or glycinate, which cross the blood-brain barrier and enter cells better than common magnesium oxide supplements. Take magnesium in the evening, working synergistically with natural nighttime anti-inflammatory rhythms. Patients correcting magnesium deficiency showed a 33% average reduction in CRP within 30 days. One chronic migraine patient saw attack frequency drop from weekly to just once in 2 months after optimizing magnesium levels. Beyond supplements, focus on magnesium-rich foods, dark leafy greens, pumpkin seeds, mackerel and dark chocolate, 70% cacao or higher, perhaps the most delicious anti-inflammatory hack available. What if you possessed an internal switch to instantly reduce blood inflammatory markers, accessible anytime, anywhere, cost-free? Medical University of Vienna researchers discovered a specific breathing pattern activates your vagus nerve, sending immediate signals to dampen immune inflammatory responses. This neural pathway is so powerful pharmaceutical companies are developing electronic implants to stimulate it, yet you can activate it naturally in just 30 seconds. Dr. Gundry's breathing hack 478 breathing. Inhale quietly through your nose for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7 seconds, then exhale completely through your mouth for 8 seconds with a whooshing sound. Repeat 4 times. The extended hold and slow exhale activate the parasympathetic nervous system, sending direct anti-inflammatory signals via the vagus nerve to immune cells throughout your body. Practicing this technique 3 times daily reduced inflammatory markers like IL-6 by 15% on average within 2 weeks. Blood pressure readings also dropped by an average of 10 points in hypertensive patients. One patient with stress-triggered inflammatory skin flare-ups saw a 60% decrease in frequency and severity after implementing this technique before stressful situations. Practice immediately upon waking, before meals, and before bed for maximum benefit. What if certain compounds could reach into DNA and switch off inflammation-responsible genes? Linus Pauling Institute scientists discovered specific plant compounds can epigenetically modify DNA expression, silencing inflammatory genes otherwise continuously active. These compounds can override genetic predispositions to inflammation-driven diseases, with effects persisting for days or weeks after consumption. These DNA-modifying compounds, sulforaphane and its precursors, found primarily in cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, and especially broccoli sprouts. The protocol consumed 2 to 3 ounces of fresh broccoli sprouts daily, containing 20 to 100 times more sulforaphane than mature broccoli. Alternatively, 2 cups of chopped cruciferous vegetables daily. Proper preparation is key. Chop or blend vegetables and let sit for 40 minutes before cooking, allowing enzymatic sulforaphane formation. If cooking immediately, add mustard powder to provide the conversion enzyme. Regular consumers of properly prepared cruciferous vegetables show significantly lower inflammatory markers. Dr. Gundry observed a 25% average reduction in patients implementing this protocol for 60 days. One psoriasis patient with strong genetic components reduced lesions approximately 70% after 3 months of daily broccoli sprout consumption without medication changes. What if the most powerful anti-inflammatory technique required just 60 seconds daily and cost nothing? Icahn School of Medicine researchers discovered brief cold exposure triggers a remarkable anti-inflammatory cascade throughout your body. This response activates special anti-inflammatory brown fat cells dormant in most adults. The benefits accumulate. Your body becomes increasingly efficient at activating this pathway with regular practice. The technique ends every shower with 60 seconds of cold water, focusing the stream on the neck, back and upper chest, areas rich in brown fat cells. Start with 15 seconds if needed, gradually building up. Cold exposure activates brown fat through norepinephrine release, producing specialized adipokines with potent anti-inflammatory effects throughout your body. Patients implementing this daily practice showed a 20% average reduction in inflammatory markers within 4 weeks. Those with inflammatory skin conditions reported visible improvements within 10 days. One 62-year-old with treatment-resistant rheumatoid arthritis, combining daily cold exposure with other strategies, had inflammation decrease so significantly, her rheumatologist reduced medication dosage for the first time in 7 years. An alternative method: place your face in ice water for 30 seconds, stimulating the same pathway through the mammalian dive reflex. These 12 daily anti-inflammation hacks represent Dr. Gundry's decades of research into what drives aging and disease and how to reverse it. The most powerful approach is gradually incorporating all these strategies into your daily routine to address the root cause, not just symptoms. Start with just one hack that resonated with you today. Master it for a week, then add another. In 3 months, you could transform your inflammatory profile and potentially add decades of healthy living to your life.